Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of The Explainer. I am absolutely pumped you're here with me today because the ideas we're exploring are going to radically shift how you view boredom, how you view self-control, and ultimately, how you define true power. We live in a world that literally never stops moving. It's exhausting just thinking about it sometimes. But the philosophy we are going to break down today, called the authority of stillness, presents a profoundly different approach to living. We are going to completely flip the script on what it actually means to be strong.
So think about your life right now. Think about your buzzing phone lighting up every 3 minutes, the endless, mindless scroll of your social feed, that absolute crushing pressure to always be doing something, always be achieving, always be consuming. What do you think true power looks like in our hyperconnected, relentlessly fast-paced world? Is it being the loudest voice in the room? Is it acquiring the most things as quickly as humanly possible? Is it relentlessly hustling and reacting to every single stimulus thrown your way every second of the day?
Okay, let's dive into this, because the answer this philosophy gives us is incredibly counterintuitive. The ultimate modern power move is simply doing nothing. I want you to just sit with that for a second. In a world that demands your constant reaction and your constant participation, the most powerful thing you can possibly do is absolutely nothing at all. It sounds simple, almost too simple, right? But as we're going to uncover, choosing stillness is actually one of the most difficult and deeply rewarding things you can ever achieve. To really understand why doing nothing is so powerful, we first have to look at what we're constantly up against. Our framework lays out these specific traps of the modern age. We are living in an era defined by instant gratification, where whatever you want is literally just a click away. Yes, including that impulsive, one-click late-night delivery of things you definitely don't need. We're constantly surrounded by comparison and relentless competition at work and in life. And perhaps the most draining of all, we're dealing with the envy directly fueled by social media. These forces are traps. They agitate us. They constantly push us to act, to consume, to react, and to measure our behind-the-scenes reality against everyone else's highlight reel. They are explicitly designed to make stillness feel totally impossible. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how this framework counters all that modern noise with one core thesis. Doing nothing and staying calm is a power. It is absolutely essential to understand that this philosophy does not view doing nothing as laziness. Actually, scratch that. It's not laziness, and it's definitely not apathy or giving up. In the face of all that instant gratification and envy we just looked at, choosing to be still is an act of immense strength. It is a deliberate, highly active choice to maintain your composure when literally everything around you is begging you to react. But there is a really important nuance introduced here. This isn't just about finding peace when you have no other options. The true test of this power, the real flex, comes from remaining calm when you actually have everything. It is about having all the resources right at your disposal to indulge in those pleasures and instant gratifications and actively choosing not to. Think about it. It's pretty easy to do nothing when you literally can't afford to do anything else, but it is profoundly powerful to have the world at your fingertips and consciously decide to keep your hands still. And this brilliantly illustrates a completely new definition of what it means to be successful. Being in a position of authority and being truly wealthy isn't actually about how much you consume. Wealth and authority are defined by taking the decision to remain still, despite having the resources to indulge. Think about how paradigm-shifting that is. True wealth is self-mastery. True authority is having absolute authority over your own impulses. You are in the ultimate position of power when the temptations are completely available to you, but you refuse to let them control you. Of course, acquiring this kind of wealth and authority is not going to be a walk in the park. The framework is incredibly realistic about this. It openly acknowledges the very real discomfort involved, specifically referring to the pain of watching temptations right in front of you. Let's validate that for a moment, because let's be real, it hurts. When you have the resources and that impulse purchase or the buzzing notification is staring you right in the face, actively choosing to ignore it brings a true sense of friction. It brings genuine psychological discomfort to break the habit of instant gratification. It is a painful process. Let's move to and see how this builds into a structured path. Our framework outlines 3 difficult, very active choices that are required to achieve what it calls deep happiness. Step 1. You have to actually sit through that boredom and that pain we just talked about. Step 2, you must watch those temptations right in front of you. You don't hide from them, you acknowledge them. And step 3, you make the conscious, heavy choice to do nothing. Remember, this is not a passive experience. Sitting through the boredom and actively resisting the urge to act is an intense internal workout. The reward for that internal workout becomes crystal clear when we compare the two distinct faces of happiness side by side. On one side, we have deep happiness. This is grounded, it's calm, and it is hard earned. It's the result of intentionally making the choice to sit through boredom and do absolutely nothing. On the other side, we have shallow happiness. This is defined by falling for literally any temptation that crosses your path. It's the quick hit, the immediate reaction, the fleeting rush. It's like a sugar rush. And at its core, this shallow happiness stems entirely from an inability to resist. It vanishes fast, leaving you feeling completely empty the moment the initial rush fades. So, the crucial point is, what happens when we constantly fall into these traps? Falling for every modern urge and chasing that shallow happiness ultimately strips you of your strength. When you cannot resist the instant gratification, the comparison, or the envy, you are quite literally giving your power away to external forces. Giving in might feel great for a fraction of a second, but it sabotages your deep happiness and strips away your true authority over your own life. The inability to resist is just simply not good for you. Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway from this explainer. We've seen that true wealth isn't what you can buy, but what you can resist. We've seen that doing nothing isn't a weakness. It's the ultimate flex of strength in a very noisy world. So, knowing what we now know about deep versus shallow happiness, I want to leave you with this thought. When the inevitable temptations of the modern world present themselves to you later today, will you react or will you choose the profound power of stillness? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I highly encourage you to test this out in your own life today. Catch you next time.